So my name is Lisa, and I'm one of the BIPOC Scholarship recipients for 2021.
Hi, my name is Faryal, and I'm the second recipient of the BIPOC Scholarship for 2021.
Hi, and my name is Jamil. I'm actually not the third recipient of the BIPOC Scholarship. I'm the facilitator today, and we are gonna talk about something about the scholarship and something about the Dix experience of Lisa and Faryal had. First thing first, I actually want to learn a little bit about Lisa and Faryal. When you guys first joined the industry, what are some kind of expectations you guys had?
Yeah, for me, I didn't quite know what to expect when I got the actual internship position. I had done some of this in university before, so I was just very curious to use research to help answer people's business questions. But I didn't know how the process worked behind the scenes. So I didn't really have expectations about that, just about the kinds of business questions that I might be answering.
For me, I actually went through the research analyst program, so I did have a bit more of an idea of what the research process is. However, before I joined the program, I had no idea. So it was really nice. So I did have some, excuse me, I did have some expectations, but it was because I was kind of prepared through Georgian. However, like being in the actual industry is so much different than just studying about it.
Okay, so Faryal, you mentioned that you had some background knowledge, and do you guys, I mean, even Lisa can answer this question, do you guys feel after the internship, like what are some things that you feel, oh, I learned a lot, that's kind of surprise, make you feel, this is something I have known?
It was really interesting. So I went into the qualitative department because as someone with like artistic background, I thought that would be a bit more creative, and that was correct, but I didn't realize just how creative you can really be with qualitative research. So that's been really fun, like creating online boards and getting very, very creative with the questions that we ask people as well. I've been finding that's really fun. And it's also just like in terms of the insights themselves, like seeing how people can have like so many different opinions and like ideas that you would never have even thought about. It's been really interesting, and I've really been enjoying that.
I totally agree with you, Faryal. So I'm on the quant side actually, but I do get to see a little bit of like the qual side in when we're looking at verbatim. And I love like something that I didn't expect in this job that I actually love is just seeing so much of the consumer insights and like what's trending, what people are saying, what they care about, what common themes are coming through these different individuals. They're from all over, maybe the United States, but everyone's pinpointing like specific pain points or specific things that they like about a product. So it's interesting to see that unfold. And I feel like I've learned a lot about reporting. I think that that's something that maybe in my program we did a little bit differently. So really learning how to give like very clear insights and how to present those in a report is something that I feel like I'm learning a lot from this program or from this internship. That's going to be definitely useful in my future. And it's also interesting to see like when my boss talks to me about cleaning up my insights, it's just like she has such a clear and perfect vision of things, and I can't wait to get to that level.
Same. I'm like, I'll start a report and then they'll take in to clean it up. And I'm like, how'd you do that? It looks so good. It's great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys, especially when Lisa said, sometimes we feel when we talk with the boss or people at senior level, sometimes I feel like, ooh, how would they think about that? It's so interesting. And I think that would come with some like experiences. And I'm really looking forward to see the future my self future me, and how I can become one of them. Another thing I'm quite interesting to learn is what do you guys think, like something that you have contributed to the team and you guys feel something that you guys have done quite well and quite proud of?
It's a good question. One thing that recently happened on my end is we were working with a client, and I guess they're developing a new product, or it's a fairly new product in a new industry. And so they were looking for help in terms of their branding, like what brand archetype they should enter the market to compete in. And I had an amazing class in university on branding, and just being able to use some of the tools that I learned in my program to kind of understand the business problem and to kind of share with my team who doesn't necessarily have the business background, how like I look at the archetypes. And something that came out was, like there's category kind of archetypes or category characteristics that everybody in a certain industry is going to be known as, the type of product that does X, Y, and Z. It's hard to talk about this without like saying anything about the client. But distinguishing what is kind of something like a characteristic that everybody's saying about these category of products versus what people are seeing in this brand that's specific to this brand. So I was able to talk to a colleague about that, and just we're all coming from different backgrounds, which is interesting. Like some people have taken a background in marketing research, whereas other people are coming with a business background or creative background. So I love how that all comes together. And I really feel that everybody's learning from one another and bringing their background experiences. But I think that branding class recently is something that I feel like I've brought to the team and to the table. What about you, Faryal?
Well, I mean, I definitely relate with you about like how everyone's from different backgrounds and everyone has such different ideas. With my team, it's like we work together a lot with different ideas, and I love kind of like just sitting down with someone and just discussing and kind of like seeing where we end up. It's so interesting and it's so fun. And it is kind of due to the fact that we're all from different backgrounds. So I actually have an artist background. My undergrad was in drawing and painting, which is very different than a marketing background, of course. So it's really interesting to kind of like see how people from like different walks of life can kind of come together and come up with like new ideas and new ways to approach things. So in that way, it's kind of like, I guess I'm adding like a little bit of a unique perspective, but I also have another artist on my team as well. So it's really cool to work with her because then we kind of like have some similar thought processes and we kind of like approach things in some similar ways as well.
Yeah, and we've also had a chance to like cross collab across teams as well. So there's one project that we've actually kind of worked on together, our teams like Qual and Quant. So it was cool to see because they're facilitating a workshop, and some of the things, like my background is actually in teaching and education. So seeing how some of those like icebreakers or idea generation kind of activities have worked together, and then, people putting together kind of different online tools to work with. That's been interesting too, seeing what people are pulling from their backgrounds and tools to use in this kind of world that were traditionally for other spaces. So yeah,
sounds quite interesting. I hope we could have somebody who is good at painting and drawing our team. I mean, I know I'm quite bad. I don't know about others, but it sounds you will have a lot of fun. You guys mentioned that you work with a lot of other teammates, sometimes even cross team. Given the current pandemic situation, how do you feel about like work from home, like especially at BIG?
I think that there's like some good parts and some bad parts. to start with the good, like it's a lot more convenient to be able to work from home, of course, especially as someone who lives pretty far away from the office. My commute would have taken a good few hours out of my day every day. And so I like that we can kind of like be a bit more comfortable and still be able to get so much work done. But on kind of like the downside is that like you don't get to meet people as often. So like you do work across teams at times, but it's a lot of like, but for the most part, you do work with your team. And so you talk with them a lot, but if there's less chances of like reaching out and meeting other people. But then again, on the positive note is that there's a lot of clubs and teams at Digs that you can join and meet people as well. So it's like, there's good and there's bad. And my team actually started like going into the office every Thursday. So that's nice. So at least like we can go in and see people then.
Yeah. I agree with Faryal. There's been like good and bad. I mean, not really bad, but just different. I was really hoping when I got this internship that I would be able to go into the office. But I've actually enjoyed working from home. Like there was one time that I went into the office. The office is very beautiful. It was fun to be in there and working together, but also that morning rush of like, you know, getting to the GO train early in the morning, getting downtown, and then, you know, coming back. I realized how much time you save working from home. You kind of set up your space, you get going. You know, it saves a little bit of time, so you have more time to do other things in the evening. So I feel like there's positives and negatives. We have a virtual kitchen on our team, so like how you might kind of run into people when you go to the kitchen at an office, we kind of socialize there like throughout the day and ask questions there. So I think I remember when I first started thinking like, how is this going to work? Is my boss going to like message me what to do every day or not? But it really flows together well with just email and just we have weekly team meetings where we kind of discuss all the projects that are on our plate each week, and everything is kind of set up so you know what you're working on and what's going to happen. And then the virtual kitchen and our kind of messenger application, it kind of feels like a virtual office, exactly what it is.
Yeah, no, it's actually great how how well you can communicate despite being completely digital. And there's so many team meetings. And with my team, whenever we like call each other just to like ask a question or something, we always keep the camera on, so it kind of feels more personal versus just like on the phone without being able to see each other. And it's great. Like I do like that we all are staying connected. And actually, there's been some differences in research as well, because qualitative, it's a lot of interviews and focus groups and things like that. So those used to be in person, and those would actually be harder to organize because it's harder for people to take out the time of the day to travel there and stay there. But now it's like where it's easier to organize those, so we can actually utilize those things more. We're able to do more interviews and focus groups because of this digital space, which is really, really cool and not necessarily something that we would have expected.
It's a really interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like for qual is especially interesting because sometimes I work cross team with some qual team, and because I don't know much about the qualitative, so but right now because everything is online, I can just sit in and listen to how they conduct the interview and focus group. Normally, yeah. If it's in person, I don't think it would be that easy for me to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love sitting in on interviews, but if it was in person, it would kind of be like you're just standing off in the corner or something.
Right. Now let's talk about the scholarship. What do you guys have any like thoughts about the BIPOC scholarship? And are there something that you guys feel, wow, that's really great, that's like really amazing about this scholarship program?
Yeah, I think there were like a few things that really caught my eye about the scholarship program. When I applied for it, I really appreciated the fact that you could do your internship whenever it was convenient for you. So our school just, it felt like very heavy coursework. So I couldn't imagine doing full-time school and trying to get my work done at this internship as well. So it was made very clear up front that whether I needed to do it during summer or after I graduated, like that internship was going to be held for me for whenever it was convenient for me to do it. So I appreciated being able to get the scholarship up front, but also have that opportunity available to me. And also, I think that I might not have gotten into marketing research if this scholarship wasn't available, because I don't think that my background was completely aligned with marketing research. So I didn't think that I would be maybe selected for an entrance level position in marketing research, but I think it gave me an opportunity to get into the field as an intern and then to grow. Like now, Faryal and I are both full-time now. So it's given us a way in, and I think that's been very important. If I didn't see the scholarship, I probably wouldn't have applied for the job just because of that. How about you, Faryal?
No, I completely agree. I love how they're very much talking, like wanting to make sure that we were comfortable and we were able to join at the right time. For me, the co-op was actually a part of my my program, so I had to do a semester of co-op. So I just kind of used this towards that, and I was actually only, I think, 2 weeks in to my program when this scholarship was announced, and I was so close to not applying at all. I thought, like, like why would they hire me? I don't know anything about market research yet. But I was like, you know what, like I should. I would hate to not try for this, and obviously I'm glad that I did. So I thought that was really telling that they are not looking for someone who's just good at what they want, right? Or someone that has a lot of experience in market research. They're looking for someone that is driven and like interested in the role, and also if it's like what they wanted to see in like as in terms of like BIPOC and helping with the community and things like that. My application was very focused on the arts actually, because again, like that's where my background was. I've worked at art galleries and things like that. So I didn't talk about consumer research like a lot in my application, but I did talk about like a little bit of like research and observations and the art market. So that, and then I think besides that, I think the fact that the scholarship exists, that they are promoting it so much, that it's like one of the main pages on the website of the company. It just is, it was also good because it showed that Dig Insights cares, like they care about making a change. They noticed that there was something missing, that there's a shift in culture around us, and they wanted to be a part of that, because a lot of companies say that they care, but they don't put in action and they don't put in the work to make those changes. So I think that was really great.
Agreed.
Great, glad to hear that. Yeah. Then how about the culture at Dig Insights? Like, what's the culture like? And the environment, the people, the atmosphere, anything.
Yeah, I think it has a little bit of like a startup vibe to it. Like, I guess each team is like a little bit different. So we kind of work in little pods, which I think is pretty cool. And my team, like, I just feel like my boss gives us a lot of freedom to kind of share our opinions and our ideas, and to work with us to kind of grow in the areas that we're interested in. So I appreciate that. I think because it's kind of a growing company, you have a little bit of flexibility and freedom to do that. Whereas maybe in a bigger company, it might be a little bit more strict on, you know, how, like what you can do. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
How about you, Faryal?
Well, one of the biggest things that I heard about when I was looking into Dig is that that it's a very innovative company, and that's something that I was really excited about. And I think that really does come through. Like, there's a lot of like innovation in our research, and that's cool. But as for like the culture, because of that, like the people are very creative as well. And yeah, like Lisa said, everyone can like works in their own pods. So we have our teams, and my team has been fantastic. I really like enjoyed working with them. I have one person who she and I are always sending each other new songs that we're listening to that day. And it's not just strictly work, you know, it's a lot of fun as well. And I'm just like hoping that I can go into the office a little bit more, maybe not every day, but like a little bit more to even like be able to meet even more people. Like Lisa, I think it would be cool for you and me to be in the office together.
I know,
That'd
we've
be
never
fun.
actually like physically met before.
Yeah, like I think I've only been in the office once before, so maybe we can like set something up and have an office day.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing too that Faryal like kind of mentioned like about our teams, but to go a little bit further, I know one thing that I was afraid about in coming in was like I wouldn't be able to pull my own weight because I don't necessarily have like a strictly marketing research background. And so I kept saying to my boss ahead of time, like, please feel free to send me like any documentation ahead of time that I can read over. And she kept saying, like, we got you, don't worry. Like when you come in, we'll train you on everything. And my team has been so amazing with training me, like holding my hand, walking me through things step by step. Whenever I have a question, you would think in kind of a virtual environment, it's like harder to reach people. But it absolutely is not with kind of like the online tools that we have. Everybody has been really receptive to answering questions and to having like conversations. And, you know, even with our platform now, somebody can take control of your screen. So if you're kind of working and you're sharing your screen and you have a question, and, you know, sometimes it's a little bit hard when someone says like, oh, click that thing in the corner over there. And you're like, this button, they can literally take over your screen and kind of show you. So I feel like that's been great as well.
I completely agree. Like everyone's very supportive and very encouraging as well, and lots of great feedback as well. And there've been so many times where I'll like send a message and be like, "Hey, how do you do this?" And they'll just call me and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna walk you through it." And then it's just fantastic, and everyone's very encouraging for sure.
Also in the bigger team as well, like something that I find unique with this company is that we'll have like weekly team meetings, like with the whole company. And so you get to kind of share in other people's wins. Like we'll highlight, you know, what new projects we got. We'll highlight if somebody had a milestone or like an introduction to meeting any new people, which I always think is cool because they have to give a fun fact. And so far the fun facts have been pretty interesting. So you feel like you get to know people, even though you haven't physically met them. You start to kind of get a sense of people and get to know them better that way.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah, glad to hear that. Yeah, then I guess it's not just I got lucky. Everybody at Dig is actually super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last topic I wish to touch on is like, what do you guys think about how companies moving forward regarding the topic of diversity and inclusivity?
Yeah, I think one thing is the scholarship. Like the scholarship was new the year that Faryal and I got it. It was the first time they'd run it. Another thing is they have a D&I committee. So Faryal and I both, and you too, Hamil, you also sit on the D&I committee. So it's nice to see that any like challenge that comes up or just anything that people want to discuss in terms of D&I, there's a committee who's dedicated to that and who's discussing it and trying to work to move the company forward on any challenge that comes our way. So I think that's one thing that I really like about the company in terms of D&I. What about you, Faryal? What are your thoughts?
I agree with you, and especially because the D&I committee is made up of people from so many different backgrounds, so we get a lot of perspectives and everything. They also did a big survey with the rest of the team, how they feel about being included, being diverse. I believe that there's always work to be done. There's always progress to be made, and the people on the D&I committee, from how much I've spoken with everyone, I think that's like a universal kind of like thought that like we can always do more, we can always do better. And I think that is a really great approach that Data Insights takes, is that we have to continue working towards being as inclusive as possible and making people as comfortable as possible, because at the end of the day, we're a culture. We need to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Lastly, is there anything that you guys feel want to share about anything, like the company, the experience, the D&I, or even something you feel it's a fun fact, it's worth sharing?
I think there's anyone watching this who's like, oh, I don't know if I should apply to this scholarship. Apply, do it. Yeah. Because that's what I thought, and look where I am.
I agree with Faryal. I think like sometimes the requirements could maybe seem a little bit intimidating, but if you're interested in the position and if you're interested in the work, just apply. Talk about why you're interested in research, and you never know what might happen.
Yeah, talk about what you're passionate about too.
Yeah. I think there's so many ways that like research can be combined with other interests. So yeah, it doesn't matter what your background is. There's really like an opportunity for anybody who's interested to get involved in marketing research.
Absolutely.
Right, because like we just discussed, like a lot of people at DIG, we all have different academic background, like for example, Faryal has a painting and drawing background. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have strong connection with market research, but and I know other people have like a statistic background at DIG. Some people have psychology background. Everybody has different background, but don't hesitate, and sometimes step out your comfort zone a little bit. You don't know what you will get, right, unless you try.
Exactly.
Yeah,